Hello and welcome to CityScene, a TV program about your city government. And in case you didn't notice, we went through a bit of a hurricane not too long ago, so we wanted to start talking about storm cleanup, the after effects, things like that. We've got our Public Works Director, Wes Anderson, with us today. How are you, Wes?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I appreciate you coming out here. You've got a great crew behind you, don't you?
Yes.
You've got some guys who've been out here doing some long hours.
We've been basically working since the Sunday after the hurricane to clean up the city.
Now, the amazing thing is that there's a lot of trees down. These guys have been working almost nonstop, right on through weekends, right?
Correct. We've been working 7 days a week. Initially, we worked to 7 p.m., and then we backed off about a week and a half later to about 5 p.m.
Okay, so you got to give these guys a little bit of a rest, right?
Yeah, it's about time to start thinking about giving them a chance to take a break.
Okay, now, I know people are really anxious because there's a lot of trees that are down, and it takes a long time to go through this process. Give us a little sense of the scope of the damage, of the magnitude.
The estimate just for within the city right-of-way was about 140,000 cubic yards.
Okay, I have no idea what that translates into.
Well, I've never converted it, but we're talking football stadium size.
Wow.
Okay, so what that means is it's going to take a while to pick up. Now, we're working, plus we've got a contractor working out through, and our last estimate, which is a few days old, but it's fairly close, is that it'd be sometime around September 23rd that we'll complete the first pass.
Okay.
And the city's concept for debris removal is on that first pass, we get all the big piles, get all that big stuff, get it out there, give a chance for the residents to put some more stuff up, and then come back a second time.
Okay.
So September 23rd, we finish that first pass, then we'll go back to the places that we started early and start working on the second pass.
Okay, now I know planning ahead of time is key for things like this. You used to be in the Army, so I bet this is something that became second nature to you, right?
Well, it is, but it isn't. I mean, it's still a learning curve. We have to get our system back up because it's been a while since we've done it, you know. So in this particular case, we did some pre-planning, and we actually had a contract on the shelf with a contractor for debris removal. So all we had to do is we didn't have to do any bidding. We just had to call the contractor up and say, you need to be here.
Excellent. That worked out pretty well for you.
Yes. By the time we had a good feel what was going on, they mobilized. They started work that Wednesday after the hurricane.
That's tremendous. That's tremendous. What's the kind of feedback you've been hearing from the citizens?
We're getting compliments and how fast we're doing it and how much care we're taking care of it. We've had some issues, of course, with the contractors. You always do. But they're getting their system down and they're starting to improve. And initially we started off with about, between us and the contractors, around 50 loads a day. Now we're close to about 150 loads a day.
Wow, where's all the wood going to?
We have a landfill that belongs to a private contractor that actually is contracted by the county government. And we just take it up there, we drop it off, and the county handles it with the contractor.
Outstanding. Man, this is a tremendous workload that you guys have had to go through, and we give you a lot of credit for doing it. And we really do appreciate the citizens who've been so patient as the process goes through. I think I've only heard one complaint, and that was like right afterwards. But everyone else that heard the complaint was like, are you kidding me? We just went through a big storm. So you guys have done a great job, and we really want to applaud your fellows. Now, we're talking to Les in our next segment, Les Everett, about building inspections and things like that, so we don't want to cover any of that stuff. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Well, really what it comes down to is what can the residents help us for the second pass? And probably the biggest thing they can do is actually look up. And by that I mean look up to see if they're underneath power lines, phone lines, Suddenlink cable, whatever it is. Because basically you can see the booms that are operating behind me. That boom can't get within 10 feet of our power cable. So if they put it underneath the cable, we can't get at it. So the further they put it away, and the best is to make sure it's not within 10 feet, the better it is for us to be able to pick up.
Okay, and the same rules as before applies with you can't put it out into the street, put it up behind the curb. So if you're looking at us now, not where we're standing, but where Jonathan's standing up here in the grass. Correct. And it looks like those folks have done a pretty good job of it behind us over here.
And the other thing is, we have different types of trucks that are better suited for different things. So if they can sort of segregate it by the type of vegetative debris, you know, put your stumps and whatever, or the big pieces in one side, because a truck with the grapple will pick that up. But if it's just leaf debris or whatever, a guy can handle it with a fork or whatever. We'll come by with a rear loader, but if it's mixed, we got to have the grapple truck.
Gotcha. So at this time, can people still, I mean, it's still warm enough, we're cutting lawns. Can we still have the lawn debris next to the trees and stuff like that?
It has to be totally separate, because lawn debris, the city doesn't get reimbursed for.
Right.
That we will be picking up underneath our normal costs. We can't reclaim anything against FEMA or the federal government for it, so we have to be especially careful to make sure what we pick up during this time frame is strictly the storm debris.
Okay, and you guys have done a great job with helping us get the information out about time frames of where crews will be so that citizens can plan, and we'll continue to work on that together. If you go to the website, greenvillenc.gov, look under Hurricane Irene Aftermath, you click on there, and we've got about where crews are going to be for the next 24 to 48 hours. Can't be exact, but we can give people a pretty good idea.
Yeah, that's the best we can do. 48 hours, we got a pretty good idea, but it depends upon what they find. It could go faster, it could go slower.
That's right, because your first pass may not have been too bad, but they've got all that time to go, okay, now we're ready, and they throw all the other stuff out. You're thinking it's only going to take a day, when really it'll take 2 days.
2 days, correct.
Okay. Is there a phone number people can call if they really need to?
If they really need to, it's 329-4522. That's the Public Works general number, and between 7:30 in the morning and 5 o'clock at night, there's somebody on that phone.
Okay, but for the most part, just go to the website. You'll get the information you need there, and hopefully you'll have all your questions answered there. Wes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, coming up next on City Scene, as we promised, we're going to talk to our favorite building inspector, chief inspector, about the building permit process when City Scene returns.
Hi, I'm Barbara Avery with the City of Greenville's Aquatics and Fitness Center. Do you know that the average American in this country is 1 inch taller than they were back in 1960? I'll take every extra inch I can get, but you know the sad fact? We also are averaging 25 pounds heavier than our counterparts did back in 1960, and that's not something to smile about. One of the reasons might be our weekend habits. The average American in this country consumes an extra 115 calories on Saturday and an extra 115 calories on Sunday. 230 additional calories in the course of a week doesn't sound like much, but if you look at the overall scheme of things in the course of a year, that's going to mean an extra 5 pounds of weight on your body.
You know, today we're dealing with the Hurricane Irene aftermath, so we thought we'd start talking about the rebuilding process. Of course, we've got our good friend, our Chief Building Inspector, Les Everett. Chief Inspector, how are you?
Doing pretty good.
You know, it's been years since we started talking about building processes and permits and things like that, isn't it?
It's been a while. We enjoyed a series previously on how to go through building a new house.
It's a good time to talk about how to rebuild a house now.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a building behind us. You can kind of see that's been through some damage with Irene. Let's start off with the building permit process. When do you need to have a building permit?
Okay, first of all, we know lots of people have been affected by the hurricane. As far as inspections is concerned, do what you have to do to clean up. Get trees off houses, tarps on roofs, clean the water out if it got into your home. At that point, you need to, if you fall into certain categories, you would need to come talk with us and get permits to rebuild, renovate, and take further action.
Okay, so what type of scenario are we looking at where you would not need a permit? That might be easier to pinpoint than what would need.
Okay, many people lost shingles off their houses.
Right.
Okay, if it's just a few shingles, maybe a square or two, and that's a square is like a 10 by 10 section. We typically say 1 square. You know, if it's borderline, lower end of 2, we really feel that you can go ahead and repair that roof job without permits.
Okay.
If it's the majority of the house, if you're re-roofing the entire house, you need to get a roofing permit.
Okay.
Water damage, if water came in and got in your carpet and stuff like that, we do encourage you to have it properly cleaned, properly dried. We as an inspections, we're not going to worry about that.
Okay, what if a shutter comes off the outside of the house?
Not worried about shutters, fascia boards and the vinyl trim, you know, vinyl kind of being blown off. If it's blown off the majority of your house, that's one thing. If it's just a couple of pieces, there again, feel like people can take care of those issues on their own.
So if it's basically, it sounds like if it's a little cosmetic thing, not that big a deal, go ahead and take care of it yourself.
Yes.
I guess you're more interested in more structural type things, right?
Yeah, as you can see behind us, this house had a tree fall on it, and
Yeah, that would require a permit.
that would require a permit.
Oh, man.
You know, rafters broken, major structural damage. We've had some houses that no tree fell on it, but the roof leaked to a point that it messed up all the insulation in the roof, ceiling, damaged sheetrock, it's dripping out of electrical fixtures. Those things need permits, they need to be inspected, they need to have the proper contractors repair the work.
I guess also, since you mentioned the electrical stuff, I've seen cases where the electrical stuff has been pulled off the outside of the house. Maybe the power line got pulled down by a tree, and the tree didn't really hit the house, but it pulled everything away from the house.
Right, and in that case, utilities, Greenville Utilities has disconnected the power from the house. What they have to do is get licensed electricians to come in and re-secure the service, as we call it, and the mast. That's that arm that sticks up that those wires from the utility connection connect to. And we will go out and inspect and make sure it's repaired properly, meets the code, and we'll notify Greenville Utilities to reconnect the power.
Okay, so what if someone like me could never do those repairs on my own? I need to hire a contractor. Do you have advice for me for hiring a contractor?
Number one, check references. If you know people that are licensed contractors, those should be your first calls, of course, after your insurance company. If you are unsure about someone and they just come up to you and say that they're a licensed contractor, feel free to call our office. We have a database we can check, see if they're state licensed, they have everything in order, and they can do the work for you. On a job like this, you can look at it and tell it's probably going to be over $30,000 worth of work.
Wow.
As a result, it takes a licensed general contractor to pull those permits. Things less than $30,000, you know, by general statute, you don't have to be a licensed general contractor, but we strongly encourage people to use those licensed general contractors. We strongly encourage, if you do not, that you call and make sure that they get the proper permits if they're needed, and that they have a city privilege license or business license.
That's a big thing that we've talked about that with GTV9, and also out in some other information we've gotten out, is make sure that whoever is helping you out has a business license for the city. That also helps to be kind of a reference as well, because if it's just some scam artist coming in and taking money, they're not going to have a license.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, rumor has it that, you know, inspections and permits sometimes are a waste of time. Our goal is to protect the life, safety, and well-being of the public, so we're here to protect them. Right. And permits are a way of doing that. And, you know, you hear so many war stories about people getting scammed.
Right.
We want to prevent that. The last thing, with the problems that a lot of people have had, the last thing they should worry with is paying a contractor up, or paying someone who claims they're a contractor up front.
Never, ever do that.
And never. And you never see them again, and that money's gone.
Okay. Now, if people have questions, this didn't do it for them, they've got more information, maybe something that this didn't quite fit their situation, is there a phone number people can call for more information?
Yes. Area code 252-329-4466. Now that will go to an automated system. We know people in this situation do not want to speak to an automated system. Listen for prompt number 2. If you press number 2, that'll go to a direct line to one of our office staff.
Okay.
If it's not answered, we are getting a lot of calls. Please leave a message. We will call you back.
Okay, and that number is manned just during regular business hours.
At this time, yes.
If it's 5:15 or 6 o'clock in the evening, don't get upset because there's no one there. Just regular business hours, 329-4466, and then hit 2 to get a live person. Just like Les. Maybe a little more awake. Les, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, more City Scene coming your way in just a bit. Stay with us.